Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to In Memoriam. This is J Fashion Eulogies. We are going to be talking about our dearly beloved dead brands and trends of the past, media that we miss, etc., etc. So thank you all for attending to celebrate the life that all of these things lived. First of all, let's take a moment of silence for all of these deceased brands. Everybody, please put an F in the chat as in respect, and we will have some silence. Okay, thank you for all of your Fs. And so now we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to do intros and talk a little bit about like where we're coming from in terms of approaches to dead stuff. So do you guys want to go in order?
All right, that means I'm first up. I'm Shay. I use they, them pronouns. I blog on FrillSquid because that's about the level of visual exposure I like. I started out in J fashion back in about 2014. I started wearing it, but I was on the internet beforehand. And I love the creepy, I love the spooky, I love the tacky, and I just wish that I could have been there for more of it. All right.
Hi, I am Kai. I am 28. I am a Getty on the East Coast. I'm one of the co-leaders of 109 Degrees Circle, and I'm also the creator of Getty Party Night, which is just a horror compilation DVD of Getty around the world. I've been into J fashion, I want to say, since 2007, 08, and then I found Getty around 09, 010, and that's where I've been the rest of my life. So. Want to hear about me yell about Dell and how things used to be, I'm always here for it.
Hi everyone, my name is Savina. I use they, them pronouns. I kind of yeeted my Instagram a couple weeks ago so I could just spend more time on loving fashion and not worrying about an algorithm. But you can still see me blab about J Fashion on my Coffee account. It's just coffee.com/Avina. I'm also on Twitter if you want to hear hot takes. That's about it. I've been into fashion or just in general, like wearing different J fashions. I started with Decora in like 2002 or 2003. And I'm 30 now, so that just shows you how long it's been. But yeah, I miss so much about J fashion, and you will hear my hot takes for sure. I have way too many notes.
Okay, and Jenna has been popping in and out in terms of connection, so she might be here like a ghost. We'll see, but she's also findable on her blog and Instagram at Lovely Lazy Lies, so you should definitely check that out, and we'll see if she's able to make a connection. And I am Jessica. I go by Opposite Sweet on social media, mostly Instagram. It's very tiring and it drains all of my energy. I've been in Lolita fashion since 2012, around the height of like OTT Sweet, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So a good while now. And I think that's it. Those are kind of our intros. Does anyone want to talk about like if they joined J Fashion like post like certain trends or like what the scene was like when you guys started?
Sure. I kind of dressed in Decora like in my own little bubble with like friends in middle school, but I joined like my first real like online J fashion community with the Old Fruits live journal. I remember like Shrinkle, who's like the founder of Sugar Pill, used to like be on there all the time, and I think Jeffree Star used to post on there sometimes. So it gives you an idea of like the sort of like scene queens who are like in the fruits community at the same time. But I like remember joining the EGL live journal around the time when there was a lot of ruckus about AP releasing this like 3-tiered high K-Cat, and like people getting really mad about it, and I feel like that, like, I mean, we still, like, the Lolita community still has things they get mad about, and they're more or less shades of 3-tiered K-Cat, but, you know, it's just novel thinking about how it was back then.
Yeah, how mad people would get over certain things.
Mm-hmm. That really hasn't changed.
I lurked a lot of places, but I was really in the Tumblr heyday. I do love the colors of the sky. So I got a lot of the tail end of Creepy Cute, a little bit of OTT Sweet, and a lot of just the random Tumblr cores that were being birthed from the abyss back then.
So different from now.
Yeah. Now they're actually established. Back then it was like somebody would ruffle through a dictionary and just throw out whatever they wanted and call it a core or a K or what have you. So it has changed a bit. I feel like it's diffused across social media and it's harder to avoid showing your face unless you retreat to a blog like some kind of Luddite. But I feel like there's been certainly a lot less change since my honored forebears entered.
Kai, did you want to talk any about like kind of the scene from which you started, or?
I think I'll talk about it a little bit later because it's going to tie into one of the things I want to share.
Okay.
It's easy to do that without spoiling it now.
In that case, we'll move on to dead brands. This is going to be kind of the meat of our entire segment. So we're gonna pour one out for all the brands that have passed. Here we have some punk brands.
Okay, Putumayo, my beloved. It can be your beloved too, Avina. We can share. Beloveds for everyone. So Putumayo, in case you're unaware, was a punk Lolita. Well, I think they themselves called it Lolita and punk brand that lasted until 2014, and the thing is, they had pretty much everything. Like, you get everything from the kind of casual cutsos and trousers that I was wearing yesterday over to, like, very elegant chiffon dresses. And their best stuff, in my personal opinion, was fully shirred skirts. They're so comfy. I am here for the comfiness.
I really miss, they used to make a lot of these long sleeve tops that had detachable arm warmers, or like short sleeve tops with detachable arm warmers. Sorry, terms. I miss that a lot. I also like whoever made their screen printing designs. Like, they were just gorgeous. Like, so much detail.
Shout out to Cat Window.
Cat Window was really
Everyone
beautiful.
loves that.
Yeah.
And they had some great embroidered pieces too, if I remember correctly. But their screen prints are like my personal favorite. I love the butterfly motif that used to like find its way into a lot of Putu stuff.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah, we have down at the bottom right of the Putu section, there's the Wild Rose OP, which has silver screen printing and butterflies on it, and it's fully shirred. Like, F in the chat, everybody. It's really tragic.
Oh man, can I talk about Black Peace now?
You can go first. But...
Oh, I know I don't code very gothic to people, but I still remember going to the New People opening and being like, okay, yeah, cool, Baby is there, but Black Peace Now, because I used to love Peace Now back then. They had this like, I remember my first purchase from that store in San Francisco. It was this like asymmetrical, layered, white like skirt, and it was incredible. I would wear it underneath like my Lolita all the time, or I just wear it on its own. There was one time I like hiked it up over my chest and like wore it like a really, really short dress. Like, man, Black Peace Now was amazing. And when I found out that they weren't going to stay at New People forever, I was so sad. And it was I think Black Peace Now left the San Francisco New People before it actually folded overall.
Yes, yeah.
So I was like super bummed because I'm sitting here thinking like they're still around. Like why would they just leave? And I honestly, like, if I even look at that corner of the store, I just get sad. I don't know what's there right now. I just see white every time I look at the side of New People.
It's a so-so. It used to be H now to open. Now it's a so-so, which is actually quite cute.
Did so-so expand? Because I remember so-so was like in the middle part, and then did it just go further back?
Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe you're.
Maybe we're
idea what's in the corner.
Blocking out.
Baby's in the other corner.
Yeah, baby's in the other corner. And then I remember 6% Doki Doki was in the other corner the year that New People opened, and I think they were only around for a little while.
Like I never saw that 6% Doki Doki.
Yeah, that I had so many fond memories of. That was also like my first trip as a babby adult. Like I just turned 18 when the New People opened, so it was like my first time like kind of going out and like meeting friends and like doing everything kind of on my own, and it was really rad. I met so many people that were like big on LiveJournal back then, and I was just like, wow, I'm starstruck. But man, Black Peace Now, so sad.
Yeah. Their stuff is just so great. I sometimes wear oji when I feel like pants, which is a rare and sacred occasion. And you got a lot more textures with Peace Now. They were one of the first brands that really used a lot of chiffon and tulle as accents. I mean, the dress I'm wearing right now, most embarrassing behavior, I'm showing it to you. It has this amazing embroidery cutout deal on it, and an underlayer, and a built-in petticoat, and that's just the type of craftsmanship that I miss Peace Now for personally. Well, Black Peace Now. Peace Now is more punk-like.
Yeah, I was definitely more of the Peace Now fan. A lot of my like day-to-day clothes was Peace Now when I was younger. I had like a lot of their like fun little like punk vests and a lot of their non-black items, because even back then I just didn't wear a lot of black. So that I tended to buy more Peace Now, and I still have a lot of Peace Now in my wardrobe. And I saved their novelties that I got from all those years ago. I have some chopsticks that say Black Peace Now on them.
What do you guys think about kind of like the existence of Shiglet and like how it stacks up to Black Peace Now?
I find the size range of Sheglet is a lot more limited, and I find the designs are a lot simpler and more streamlined in general. That some of them are in lines of Black Peace Now, but you also get designs that are more in line with the ethos of like Rodier and more gothic type brands, rather than the weird gothic punk Lolita mix that Black Peace Now really represented. And so, although I appreciate Sheglet on other people, I'm not really gonna buy it for myself unless I see something that calls to me, and it hasn't.
I'll keep my answer short. I don't fit into it, so I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I understand where like the change in design is coming from, in terms of like I can see like, oh, it's like, you know, it's the same kind of designs, but maybe like, you know, changed in a way to, you know, be like more appealing to some people or to sell to like a certain market, but it's definitely has lost some of like the edge there.
I just don't have as much fun with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, here's the Peace Now website.
Oh, look at that website. Beautiful.
Peak design.
Web design is my passion.
The bevel on the buttons, that makes it.
We've got some eccentric and some
Eccentric and Heart E. Shay, do you want to take Eccentric and I'll take Heart E?
All right, Eccentric was the only bad thing is they had their name in French, which I disapprove of, but
like most of the brands.
I'm bad with French. Yes, Eccentric is dead. I feel like Abiatage has a lot of that spirit to it, though, but Excentrique had beautiful smooth lines, corseting, military style, just very, very clean in the best way. Yes, it is exceedingly dead, like if you cry every time.
It died very quietly too. I feel like they
Yeah.
made a single blog post and then they were already gone. Like it was just
Their Twitter is still up even, but for that kind of more structured, regimental, classic Gothic kind of thing, they were really unmatched. Also, really expensive for a lot of people and limited sizing, but grant. And now they're not here, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I have one. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, yes, I was gonna say, like, they're known mostly for like their corsets, but their corsets were so tiny and very expensive. So like, I understand, but also it is still sad because the aesthetics was on point.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely had a couple of Oxentrique's boned pieces way back in the day when I could still fit into them. And I have Abiatage corsets, and I do think Oxentrique's like corset work was better. Like Abiatage is unfortunately, it's very weird because I feel like I read conflicting information about whether or not they could actually be used for tight lacing, and they absolutely cannot be. But a lot of like Oxentrique's size guide makes you think that it is for tight lacing because they will like talk about how small it can get, but it's like, but it can't though. Like you're using plastic boning, it's just not gonna work that way. My one Oxentrique item that still survives to this day is this amazing muumuu that has a like lace cathedral embroidered onto it. It's made fully out of lace, and using like different pre-made lace appliques has created the shape of like a Notre Dame style cathedral. It's amazing, and it came in like this like greenish color, and it also came in all white. I have the all white colorway, so it's like really subtle, and I just love it. It's super comfortable, and I wear it when I want to look like I'm haunting the halls. As for Heart E, oh man, like Heart E was one that really quietly died on me too. Like I really thought Heart E was alive for a really long time, and like on top of that, like it, like I feel like it has tags on a lot of the secondhand websites. So I was like really sitting here like, oh yeah, Heart E is still like going, but it just really quietly like kind of petered out at some point, and they were really great for wearable, sweeter Lolita stuff, and I remember their coats were incredibly popular. They released some adorable bags. I still have a lot of Heart E in my wardrobe because their sizing was also like fairly good. And they did, I think, one of the earliest instances I've ever seen of a J Fashion Sanrio collab. They did like the screen printed My Melody print that is adorable. And if you can track it down, it's great because it is like fully shirred. It's super comfortable, and Heart E was ahead of its time. There was also Boys Heart E and Strawberry Heart E. I think Strawberry Heart E was sweeter, and Boys Heart E is what it sounds like. It had more pants and hats. Hats are for boys, apparently. Boys only.
True. Yeah, I really love Heart E for all of the appliques, the screen printing, the music note prints, and piano prints especially. And just their stuff is comfy. They did a ton of Cutso OPs and fully shirred skirts, and you can just throw those on. It's like pajamas but kawaii, and that's how I want to live my life, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if you look up Hato E in katakana, they do have active tags on like Frill and Mercari, so you can just like scour those for all of like the beautiful, beautiful Heart E items. Like a lot of people really like their Alice set, which I can actually kind of squint and see in one of these images.
Yeah.
And they're not like compared to other old school brands of the time, they're not as hard to get a hold of and are honestly just more comfortable too.
Yeah. You and the audience stay away from Heart E. It's for me and Avina only. Okay.
Yeah.
Disregard any advice you heard here.
Yeah,
it's
no,
difficult
only-
to get a hold of. You cannot search for it. impossible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm over helpful. I need to keep my secrets close to my chest.
Oh, and we've got some cornet here as well, which I believe Jenna was going to take over, but since she is maybe haunting us, we does anyone want to go for cornet real quickly? I want to be able to also get to the Galbrands.
Yeah. Cornet,
Funny.
go ahead. No,
Oh.
you know more. I just make jokes.
The funny thing about cornet is I was trying to look up why they called themselves what shotgun wedding was. I was like, oh, I'm so sure that shotgun wedding was kind of like the umbrella brand, and then cornet was the one that made the cuter like Lolita stuff. And when I tried to look it up, I just found a blog post written by myself. So in my own citation, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm either perpetuating like incredibly wrong and incorrect information, or I was right like 10 years ago and forgot. So
it was this one designer, I think he calls himself Tom, and first it was Garouse in like the 90s, and then it became Cornet, and Shotgun Wedding was the Lolita like sub brand that kind of took over. He like, because it was such a smaller brand, there was some custom sizing, which A plus, and just some really iconic. When I think old school Swede, like I probably think of either Hard E or Cornet.
yeah, cornet. It's really wild now. So cornet used to be like a very well kept secret. I felt like I have a lot of cornet pieces that were like $20 that I bought like 6 to 7 years ago. Honestly, like a lot of people would just borrow a tag and like post cornet stuff up. Garaus too, like was just generally like people knew of it, but no one was actually like seeking it out. But now I feel like cornet is always name dropped when you want to talk about old school Lolita. And I recently saw a cornet piece that I know for a fact sold for like I think 3,000 yen a few years back, sell for 20,000. So it's definitely just like I hope Part E doesn't go in the way of that.
Yeah, whippersnappers stop buying things challenged 2K21. I say this as a whippersnapper. All right.
Have some other, like some non-Lolita brands kind of, as well as some crown label here.
Yeah, so I talked about this briefly in the Cult Party Dolly K panel I did with Melancholia. How long ago was that? A few weeks back? I don't know what time is.
Beginning of September, I think.
Beginning of September? Yeah, I think you're right.
A month ago.
So Incomplete Alchemist was a really popular brand among like Dolly K and Cult Party K folks in like the early, late to early 8 aughts, early 10s. And one of the designers went on to found Lulu Amulet, I believe. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, Lulu Amulet. And they're still super active under that brand name, but unfortunately, none of their pieces are similar to, like, you can see where the inspiration went, but like Incomplete Alchemist was so good at creating like these like wild collages of like vintage trims and like smushing them all together into one accessory. Like I have a necklace from them that actually uses like old Kinkekalon wig fiber to like create a braid that they've like hooked random like vintage buttons through. It's just this, they used to be like this like a really, really wild thing. Yeah, they never got to complete themselves, and it sounds like they split up as a duo, because that's both of them there. And only one of them went on to do Lulu Amulet, and I have no idea what happened to the other designer. So it's sad. And Incomplete Alchemist only really existed in like this little bubble of time too. I think they were only really active for like 3 or 4 years. But they were sold through stores like Grimoire and Virgin Mary and the original Cult Party store. But yeah, I miss them. Rest in peace. Yeah, the band broke up. So I also want to talk a little bit about Old Grimoire. Again, if you saw my panel in September, this is probably redundant information, but Grimoire still exists, and they're technically at the exact same address, but they now sell high-end luxury secondhand and have similarly styled their interior to kind of match that kind of vibe too. This is how it used to look, though, in the center, this amazing cluttered fairy tale mess. They made a bird cage out of twigs that encompassed the entire store. There used to be a lot of that going on with Old Grimoire, and now if you go in, it's very sleek and minimalistic. And they say that their store is supposed to be an ode to 20s New York City. So really sad to see Grimoire change. I mean, I understand as an artist you don't want to keep rehashing the same thing over and over again ad infinitum, but it's still really sad when you do see curators kind of change their tastes with the times. And then also just so I just really want to quickly talk about Crown Label. That's just an old meta sub-brand that was cheaper, and that was really it. I know some people say it was a plus-size brand, but it wasn't. It kind of, some of their pieces were plus-size friendly, some weren't, but it was just a cheaper brand. They did a lot more basics, and I miss Crown Label.
I heard it was designed by the shop staff was one of the other differences, instead of just stealing the designs from the shop staff like certain other brands do. Not that I'm throwing around salt, but yeah, a lot of Meta Crown Label stuff, that's where you get the great colors, eye-searing pink, neon green, vomit-inducing yellow, just the most intense colors in Lolita came from Crown Label way before Angelic Pretty started on its retro kick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and let's go through these kind of quickly because I believe some of these are still around, but just kind of their aesthetic has changed.
Yeah, so Chocolate Chip Cookie is still technically around, and their designs more or less look the same, but they're largely inactive, and it's really hard to figure out how to order from them. And they do great plus size stuff. Kira Kira Shoten was a frequent poster on, or a frequent subject of WTF Brando on LiveJournal. They just released all kinds of wild corsets. I'm pretty sure they're dead, and I'm pretty sure their pedigree still lives on in another brand, but I cannot remember which right now. They're just wild and incredible, and I really miss them. And just also early Alice and the Pirates. I just miss it. I love the all over prints, the asymmetrical aprons they used to always do, the flying fuck cutso. These were all great things that
if you find that
cutso,
if you find the flying horse or flying fuck cutso, tell me and I'll just cry because I would spend my grad school money on that, no problem.
I own the cutso.
Time for a tussle.
Yeah, we can fight. But yeah, where's the pirates gone? Where have the pirates gone?
I don't know. I don't even see much of Alice either.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got some I really wanted to get to the Kel friends, but we've got some gothic friends as well. Hold on, let me scroll ahead. Okay, next is Gal. We're gonna go over goths really quick. Everyone knows about.
I'm wearing it. Everybody knows about Atelier Boz, which is the Roland jacket, and also some other great stuff like the Nun OP, but mostly the Roland jacket. You look at Boz from 2002, you look at the Boz from 2021, this last recent sale they had. They are so consistent. They are such a strong sense of integrity within the brand. You're not going to get something super novel or interesting, but you're going to get the most elegant tailoring in J fashion, from my perspective. And then Kazuko Agawa is kind of behind my time. Lace Monsters are good, actually.
Oh, Kazuko Ogawa is so good. You could email her directly, and she would make things to order and to your size, too. And I want to say someone tried to see if her email was still active and sent an email, and I don't think they ever heard back. So we tried.
Her site is still up, kind of, sort of, but not really. And Boz, it's still in the process of closing, and we have a hint that the designer might go on to keep making some of this boss type stuff, but
It's all kind of
Yeah.
up in the air. Yeah.
all right, yeah.
Okay, we got a whole list of super dead brand
Oh boy.
gal brands.
All right,
Yeah,
so
good
the
time.
sad thing about gal and when it comes to brands is that it's easier to talk about everything that's dead than everything that's still alive. Like most of the big names are dead. The funniest thing is the first one on that list, Alba Rosa, which you can see because that is my Alba Rosa coat in the back. That is the brown and pink colorway. That is actually the Sensodyne jacket, but because of reasons I will get into. But yeah, most of the big gal brands, they are dead. Coco Lulu, DIA, La Parfait was the big Hime brand. Note to Sky Rose on there because they were not a very big gal brand, but one of the reasons they really stuck out to me is because they saw that there were international gal and they said, oh my God, you can buy from us. And they would do shows in like France. They really wanted to see international sales, but they did not last. They lasted maybe 3 or 4 years. Yes, Coco Lulu is dead. They died in 2016, unfortunately. Interestingly enough, I feel like a lot of these brands, they just kind of disappeared off the earth. Like Coco Lulu, at least I found their Twitter and they said, oh, we're having a sale, a goodbye sale. But like Glaville, Ghost of Harlem also did that. But like Glaville and Ghost Infinity, they just stopped. They were like, bye. They had like, oh yeah, here's a sale post, and this is it. So these are the ones that are dead. However, a lot of the brands are not gal in the sense that we think of them. Like a lot of them I consider dead to the community. I have 2 examples exactly when you get kind of how they have died off. The first one is DIA, where they kind of zombified. What's it gonna say? Yeah, so this is DIA before. You can see lots of animal print, lots of black, gold. You cannot see in the picture, but they have, this is where the iconic DIA belts came from.
Mhm.
It was this era, 2010, 29, 09. And then if you look at what DIA was doing before they closed in 2017, this is
Where's
Forever
the
21.
animal print?
Yeah, it's
Where's it
Forever
gone?
21. Where did it go? So everybody's like, what happened? Ooh. And so eventually they had like 3 stores. They just slowly started closing them down. And everybody's like, why? What happened? The second, so when brands slowly died off and what most brands are open now, this is what they look like. They look like Forever 21, or they look like what happened to Gold's Infinity, which is the next slide. To count too, because you go on the 6th report. Honestly, yes, unfortunately. This is the other brand. This is actually my favorite brand, Gold's Infinity, who also just dropped off the face of the earth, where they were more of like a more sexy version of Agajo. Lots of pink still, lots of frills, but you could tell like it was still gal. It was still out there to be sexy. And then this was done in 2014 at Anime Expo, which is, it's cute, but where's the sexy? Where's the wild? Where is it? And unfortunately, most of the big gal brands that were known around that time, this is what they look like. So Emira Wiz, Rienda, Rady, this is kind of what they look like. The way I've heard it described is that this is for like gals who kind of want to be expensive and they have grown out of being gal. Thank you for that.
The supporting cast.
Monty, this is amazing. Thank you.
That was the most amazing thing I have seen.
Who
Thank
needs
you.
a parasol when our comment section is throwing shade so well for us?
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so this is what they mostly look like. And unfortunately, especially in the West, we're like, what is this? I can go down the street for this. So especially here in the West, we mostly look for older brands like Alba DIA, what we can find of Mars. So the main brands that are left have kind of just stopped being gal. The main one I would say is like Liz, Lisa, Mars. Baby Shoot is still around. I'll talk a little bit more about Baby Shoot a little bit later because I forgot to get a picture. But those are the ones around, but they are not necessarily what we consider gal. So kind of just like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah, I kind of remember in this time period seeing a bunch of I remember hearing like the term new gal being thrown around at the
Oh boy, I can talk about this now, but I think I'll save that for the trends thing. Oh, but also this also extends to how everything kind of got boring. It extends to magazines. So this is Ranzuki. This was Ranzuki 2010. So looks exciting, bold, and everything. And the spreads also still look like that, where the outfits are also still kind of cool, wild. It still feels like something for kids. And then this was Ranzuki 2014. Like, what is this? That she's in her school uniform. What is this? What am I gonna do with this? So it's not even just magazines. It's not even just brands. It's like everything in that time died. There are a lot of explanations as to why it kind of died at that time, but it's a lot of speculation.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw it being like, I feel like more toned down because it was like more commercialized around that time, which is
It's actually something very interesting considering Liz Lisa. This was somebody, her name is Darla. She runs the brand blog She Hard Glitter. She was looking through some old pop tunes and looking at Liz Lisa at one point in like 2010. She said it was like one specific collection that she had seen where everybody just latched onto it because it was so different from regular Liz Lisa. And that's why we have Larme and Hime and like girly style now, because most of the people who started wearing that were wearing their Liz Lisa, their Mars without the makeup of Gal because they were just tired because Gal makeup at that time was a lie. So I think that's part of why it died.
yeah. I didn't, because I don't know very much about like that side of things. I was like, Larm really came out of nowhere, but that was just like for me, right? But that makes a lot of sense.
I also like always thought it was interesting how Alarm kind of popped up around the tail end of like Cult Party and Dolly K kind of like losing their zeitgeist too. And like early Alarm totally just felt like they were kind of like doing like Virgin Mary Light and but like with Garu makeup, which wasn't very popular in those circles. So it was like, what is happening? Alarm is very interesting to me.
So we only have 15 minutes left, which
what happened?
who would have thought?
Oh
We're gonna go through locations really, really quickly. Here's some images from Fairy Tale Boutique and Fickle Wish. Fickle Wish died during Panda. RIP. Sorry to everybody in LA. And Fairy Tale Boutique was the precursor. Well, not like, you know, they're not related, but they were the J fashion shop that was around in LA before them. So these are unfortunately not around. So just, you know, losing, I think, these kind of like brick and mortar shops in the US is quite sad for us because there's not many places we can get these things to begin with.
Yeah.
The Baby in New York closed down a few years ago.
Like a month before I was gonna visit it.
Oh, and they used to carry. It was like a They carried more than that, right? They had like
They used to do Victorian Maiden pre-orders, and they carried like I think they also carried Meta and like Putumayo, like Harajuku Hearts used to way back when.
So they also had, I think, like some like Decora brands, like some
they have
more
Super
like
Lovers too.
Yeah,
I miss them. I visited them once as well before they closed.
Yeah, and of course, you know, obviously the closing down of the BPN that was in SF, as well as the H Naoto that was in SF.
Yeah.
And the other brands, or a bunch of the brands that closed brick and mortar during pandemic in Japan. We recently heard about the passing of the Listen Flavor Shop in Harajuku, which is very sad.
Yeah, all the physical brick and mortar stores going away also means a lot of physical hangout spaces are going away too, which is going to mean a lot in terms of how this community is going to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember, Kai, you talked about when we were discussing things about how like the 109
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, they changed the sign of 109. I feel like that was the biggest indicator of how things had changed. I don't think there are actually many brands that use in Gal in Shibuya anymore. At this point, Shibuya and Gal don't go together. You don't really see them unless you go to Tension, which is the Gal Cafe, which also, speaking of locations, Tension was the first gal cafe in the sense you could go just sit there and talk to gal, similar to a maid cafe. The one that did close was the Ganguro Gal Cafe, which was ran by Black Diamond, which is one of the largest gal units in Japan, where they wanted to be able to have people come and talk to them in English and Japanese and just enjoy everybody coming there. And I know a lot of people wanted to go, but they were very, very sad that it closed down.
Oh yeah, and also I think another thing we were going to discuss was the closing down of the Monster Cafe, which I know a lot of people thought of as like super touristy and like kind of like a tourist trap, but also at the same time it was kind of iconic in that location, and so just losing that has been a little bit sad in the sense of we're losing one of those like kind of visual like spaces.
Yeah.
So there's not much left. It's very sad. Let's talk about some trends. What are some dead trends that you think of fondly? Is there anything that you still wear despite it being dead?
Ooh. Since a lot of things about Gal are dead, so everybody just kind of wears dead trends. There is one trend I think is very important to note that died in Japan when it comes to Gal, which is them sitting in the streets in Shibuya. I think that one is a very important part as to why Gal declined, because the entire point of them just sitting in the streets was just being like, look, we are broke. We don't have money. We just want to hang out. So we're just going to sit in the streets and do our makeup. Around, I want to say 2008, 09, there was a group of men. I don't remember what they called themselves, but they were like a cleaning crew. They called themselves that. It was not even like anything official. It was just like a bunch of old men who said, we don't like these people here. They make us look bad. So they made all the gal moves. So you couldn't actually just squat in Shibuya anymore. So everybody's like, what's the point of coming to Shibuya then? I don't have money. All these events are expensive. So I
How
think
do
that's
you
a
make
major
a gal
difference
move?
why.
Like, what do they do? Like, physically come and take them away?
I think they would just like have like I have not found pictures or anything of it. I think they would just make them move like maybe they had brooms and was like sweeping them away. I would not be surprised considering how people dislike gal that much in Japanese society.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, men. Everybody else was fine with it. This was in the gal heyday, so everybody was hopping on the gal trend, but no.
I really miss like Alice Deco era Lolita a lot, where a lot of people were just trying to mix other trendy fashions with a Lolita silhouette. So like I remember this is when like Hime Lolita was like pretty big because people looked at like Hime Gyaru trends and tried to like incorporate it. Like they especially loved oh my gosh, what was the name of it? Like the main Hime Gyaru brand.
Jesus Diamante.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's the funniest thing about Hime Gyaru, because Hime Gyaru would do the same thing. A lot of people who did Hime Gyaru or tried it out, they would just use their Lolita dresses, and it worked really well. Like, I own Girly Leopard by Meta, and I bought it specifically for Hime Gyaru.
It's a very
perfect.
good dress.
It's perfect.
And then I remember AP, I think it was called like Heart Rose or something. They released a couple of JSKs that had the silhouette of Jesus Diamante and not Lolita. And I actually bought that dress like ages ago because I really liked Hime Gyaru and wanted something that didn't like read Lolita immediately. But that was AP. And it was wild to see like a lot of that like borrowing from each other happening. And I saw someone talk about like the deer antlers and classic Lolita coordinates, like felt like a response to Mori's like heyday. That was totally why the antlers started showing up. The peignoirs started showing up because of Cult Party K. Like, it's just I kind of miss like that like experimentation in the fashion where like really the only thing was like we wore a petticoat, but for the most part like we borrowed everything else from like all the other brands, and it's just I miss those days.
Oh, a quick note since we talked about Neo Gyaru. It's a very interesting thing about what is Neo Gyaru in the sense of concerning like fashion magazines. That's what they consider Neo Gyaru, but to Gyaru, Neo Gyaru wasn't a thing. That was people wearing like pastel goth, grunge, and things like that. I remember a while back, it might even still be on Tumblr because she had a Tumblr, the owner of Fig and Viper, Alyssa Bueno. People had asked her, hey, is this a style of Gyaru? And everybody's like, no, this isn't Gyaru at all. This is, people are calling it Gyaru because things are boring right now. We don't have anything big to latch on to. So it's very interesting to see people try and make it a thing, but it doesn't really have much in tying it to Gyaru when the main thing that ties everything to Gyaru is actually the makeup. So that's everybody's like, what's the difference? And I think the other interesting thing with that is that we have that end of the spectrum. Is that the other end of the spectrum is Ishokuhara, which is the body paint, which is also inspired by Gyaru, but kind of became its own thing. And I think part of that is because a lot of Gyaru they saw, they like, yo, this is amazing, this is great, like outfit, like taking it special event makeup, and what they would do is they would add more Gyaru makeup and it would become its own style. But like specifically as a gal style, it wasn't necessarily a thing. It kind of made its own thing, but we still kind of love it. I wouldn't put it in my brand because I spent too much money on it, and I'm not putting body paint on my brand. But it's nice, especially for conventions. I feel like it's really something that works more here in the U.S.
Well, I wouldn't call it strictly dead because that means I'm giving up, but punk Lolita is definitely a trend that is less popular than it was, and, well, a sub-style that was less popular than it was, and I want it to be just popular enough that I can go on Instagram and look at the tag, but not so popular that I have to pay big money dollars for getting new punk. So there's that. And one thing two physical items I majorly miss are tiny hats because they cause psychic damage, and striped socks, also psychic damage. And I also miss using upholstery fabric or just things that aren't purposely made for Lolita as Lolita. Like I these Gobelins prints that old schoolers go nuts about, like real Gobelins was often waterproof upholstery fabric, and people don't know that until they touch it and they realize that their hand just slides off. So yeah, those are some trends I'm really mourning in the deepest cockles of my twisted little heart.
Yeah, the RR memorandum released just I guess yesterday has both tiny hats, tiny ties, and tartan. It's pretty amazing. Obviously, it's not going to be as cheap because it is, made now and like new, but the collection is amazing.
Oh, I absolutely pre-ordered the tartan jacket like immediately, which is a really good segue into another trend I've been seeing, which is Vivienne Westwood's like increase in popularity in the like recent like last few months. Like I feel like everyone is going ham for those like bas relief pearl chokers and just heart handbags all over again, and it's really interesting like being like, oh, like that's like a bunch of Vivienne Westwood on like the celebrity runway. I was not expecting that. It like I have mixed reactions because they're re-releasing like a lot of things to meet this demand, so that's like awesome and fun. But then I'm also just sitting here like, oh man, like I like when Vivienne Westwood is like kind of weirdly cheap secondhand because people don't like their weird quirky 90s stuff, but I think that's what's getting popular again.
Yeah.
Like people are really after like that pink leopard print these days that they made out of like literal terry cloth material.
What is this about pink leopard print? Now the problem is now I'm going to have to share this with the gal community because everybody's like, huh?
Oh my gosh, I honestly think I did see like early gal like using that like those specific like pink leopard prints in the 90s and I know like very early like Lolita, they used to like carry the little teddy bears that Vivienne Westwood used to release with their coordinates. It's just wild to see like 90s Viv come back in like a really, really big way. and it was just not what I was expecting. Like I was like kind of slowly dragon hoarding all of these like 90s Vivienne because I was just like, they're never gonna re-release all this stuff, and now they might. So
Speaking of Pink Leprechaun, maybe this means that like Betsy Johnson can also kind of like make a revival in that sense.
I love that like handbag they had that was a functional phone.
Oh yeah, so
incredible. That
the
was
right amount
era.
of tacky. I love it. Let's go on a little bit to media because we only have 5 minutes, but we knew we were going to run out of time. So
okay,
you know.
we go mine quick. So there's two that I really miss. The first is Campus Summit. So Campus Summit was a big gal party from 1995 to 2016, where you would just, they were kind of like international. They would have just be one day, they would just go do par, they would dance. They would do CD releases, which look like this. This is what they look like. This is 28 and this is 2009. They would have CDs and DVDs, and they would have a theme song, and it'd be really. It was a thing. They used to have fashion shows. They used to have big guests, and then eventually, when Gal started like dying down in 2013, it stopped being like that. They started having more idol stuff. It was more like a general fashion show. I think that's part of what kind of killed it off, because I found the website archived in 2016, and that was it. So it's just, I think it just stopped being a party and started being like in a big event, which y'all just want to party. That's all. So that was the first one. And then the second thing that media-wise that really hurts is this website called ricochet.net. This is literally what got me into Getty. I was looking on through research for The World Ends With You cosplay from a Gone Girl over there, and I ended up finding this website, and I remember exactly which song it was playing. It was Para Girl by Barbie. That would blast off, and I was like, what is this? And then I went to the dollar store and grabbed some white eyeshadow and just tried it, and I was just gone. And there was just something very special about Ricochet.net that got people into Gal and got people getting excited into Gal. The very funny thing about Ricochet.net, at least with me, is that a friend of mine did a panel at OrderCon 2011 and had advertised on Ricochet.net, and I was so excited, so I went. And now, like 10 years later, we're in the same circle together and we're friends. So it's just really funny seeing how things kind of stay the same, stay not. But like Ricochet used to be the main watering hole, and then went down. Everybody's like, well, I guess we're just here.
Yeah, one thing I think that the gals are really good about keeping active though is like the blogging community. I was so shook when I saw that like all the gals still like constantly update their blogs and also comment other people's blogs and like, you know, share each other's blog posts. I was like, this is amazing. Y'all are really out here doing it.
It had died down for a while, but I think that's something that's coming back because everybody's like, look, I think people want to do YouTube video blogs for a while, but personally as a video editor, that's a lot. I'm going to forget to film stuff when I could be sitting here drinking. So
yeah. Life journal.
Life journal.
Yeah, rest in peace. Gosh, I miss Hello Lace. Lilyberry ended up being like the much more extensive archival like website, but I really liked like what Hello Lace attempted to do initially, and they had this amazing like they would have like guest blog writers come and like write on like various like niche topics or event coverage, and I really enjoyed that part of Hello Lace because it was kind of like, I don't know, like it almost felt like they were attempting to create like a website version of the GLB like event like section. And I really miss that. There's also like Avant Gauche, super miss. There's just a lot of like resources that have just been lost to time. Yablog is like a big one for me. So many of my favorite, when like Fairy K was still like a twinkle, a gleam in people's eye. I followed a lot of like people who kind of pioneered that style on Yablog, and like just seeing that go away was just heartbreaking. There's just so much that's been lost to the lost to the ether, the internet ether.
One thing that died kind of recently, speaking of, I guess, like blogging, is the Wonderwell Libre, like blogging platform, which Jenna was a part of, and she has since moved to her own like blogging site because I'm not sure if they're like archiving that at all or they just are getting rid of it completely, but it was such a cool concept to have like those, bloggers come on and like write about stuff for the international community, especially since Wonderwell is a Japanese company, so it felt like it was geared towards like a super wide audience, and now it's no longer a thing.
Yeah, I really feel like, because Avina, you went over this in your Alice Deco panel, but they were going to do an international issue before they went out, and I feel like that's a major loss to the community, that I feel there's a lot less of a physical connection between the international and Japanese Lolita communities because we don't have the English GLBs or Alice Deco or anything else anymore.
I also remember Mixi being like really amazing because it was like the only Japanese social networking site that allowed foreigners to like sign up, I feel like, or like made it kind of easy. Like Yaplog, there was some like hoops you had to jump through. Like I think you had to put in a fake address. But Mixi was like really easy and it would just let you say you were from the US, which was like kind of new for the time. And I know Mori like had its home on Mixi. And when Mixi kind of petered out, so did Mori. I mean, obviously, like the trend is still like around, and the fashions are still around in like different iterations. But like in terms of like that initial heyday, like that just kind of went away with Mixi, which is sad.
Oh, one weird thing I just thought about. Shout out to Lacebook.
Oh my god,
Lacebook. So sad. R.I.P. Did anyone like as soon as they found out about it, try to get like an invite code so they could like get on immediately, and it like took so long to because they had to like manually approve all of the like the applications and stuff.
Gosh, I forgot what happened, like why Lacebook went down so quickly too.
The reason why Lacebook went down is because they got a cease and desist from Facebook.
Oh, that stinks. Zuckerberg strikes again.
Does it again. But yeah, the fact that it was like an image sharing site and also like a blogging site, and then you can also like have like friends, like you could friend people on it, and it had like all these perfect like aspects of what it means to be in a J fashion community all in like one neat little site. The fact that like someone went and like designed that with J fashion in mind was so amazing, and I like kind of wish we had something like that, because I really hate depending on Facebook for like event stuff and Instagram for images. Like I really would love to not have to do that.
Oh yeah, and like Instagram makes it so hard for you to like save images, and like it tends to turn everything into a potato in terms of quality. It's really awful. I mean, this kind of goes into like why I feel like the fashion has just gone in like weird directions, like just the J fashion community in general. It's like decentralized and so reliant on like a few set platforms and that don't really actually care about the people who are posting on it. It just makes engaging in this sort of thing like pulling teeth. And part of the reason why I just yeeted my Instagram, like I was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm not focusing on why I like dressing up. I'm just focusing on like my frustrations that like my friends can't see that I dressed up.
Yeah. Another thing is actually being able to look at tags and finding things that you wanted to see in those tags. Amazing concept.
Yeah, wow. Who could have known?
Oh, Tumblr for for J fashion stuff. I guess no one really uses that anymore. I know some people still like post. Sometimes I go back and I'm like, oh, y'all are still here.
Yeah, but after the grand exodus, it really
after everyone
petered out.
Yeah, after they were like no porn.
Yeah, and then like, oh, well, there's been so many times where Lolita has just been attacked by name alone. So like there'll be like a max exodus of users or just deletion of content because people are like, no mention of the word Lolita, it's a bad word, and that's
Getting
how
shadow
we lose a
banned.
lot of stuff
Mhm.
too. It's just rough.
It's funny because I went back on Tumblr a while ago and I was following a whole bunch of Getty blogs. There was one specifically about AV Getty, which is specifically Getty that do sex work, and it was still posting. I'm like, how are you here?
Good for you, girl.
Like what?
You did it.
But old Tumblr was a really fun time.
Yeah, I hate, like, I didn't enjoy the anonymous questions, but at least you could turn it off. It got overwhelming.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shay.
Banned. Banned. This is what happens when you try to commercialize platforms that try to be anti-commercial. Just
Yeah.
this happens.
Okay, so I guess we're going to go into our final thoughts, and if anyone has any questions in the chat, it's a good time to ask, but we're going to kind of talk about, like, you know, the general dying of brands and trends and, you know, our thoughts on what the future holds and that kind of thing, which I know Avina had a lot of things to say.
I had a lot of choice words on this topic.
I do too, so I'm excited.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I will go into it. Feel free to pop the questions up there and interrupt me because I will go on. I promised a hot take. Here's my hot take. I do think J fashion is dying, but not because of lack of interest in alternative styles, but because of fast fashion. Like, if dressing alternatively was just supposed to mean like we dress wacky sometimes, like technically your Gucci's and your Kate Spades will like technically hit on that every once in a while. Like Kate Spade released a dinosaur bag. Wacky. Is that alternative? And like with the rise of like Shein and other like fast fashion retailers, like now it's not so much about like deliberately going into these spaces to find the things that like echo true to your like what like to your self-image and like what you want to wear, and it's more of like let me like look up this little buzzword on Shein and buy something for $2 and like get myself an entire wardrobe because I wanted to do coconut aesthetic, coconut girl aesthetic, which is honestly gyaru. Like it's like Alba Rosa gyaru specifically.
Wait, you didn't just make that up?
I thought you were
No.
what the hell?
No, coconut girl is a thing on TikTok, and it literally is just Alba Rosa. Like it's a lot of like Hawaiian print and like
Oh my god.
and like frosted tips and crochet bikinis.
That is so funny. I have to go look that up because
It's a micro trend, and like Shein, like, and oh yeah, it's super cute, but it's all like Shein TikTok fueled, which is like not good in terms of like supporting independent designers and ensuring that creativity wins out over commercialism. I mean, it's just terrifying. Like, so like in that sense, I just feel like that ethos has like kind of left, like this like need to like carefully curate your wardrobe over time and, you know, like really think about what you're wearing. That's just kind of out the door. And on one hand, I think it's really exciting that you don't have to like commit to one style anymore. You see a lot more people who are like, yeah, I dabble in like 20 different styles. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, you do know that like half of your stuff is like knockoffs of like these like very small independent creators that like had to shutter because of like declining customer bases. Like, you know, like it just feels like we're so into like instant gratification when it comes to alternative fashion, when you can't have that and then also have like ethically created like innovative pieces that actually like reward the designers who are trying to like put their best foot forward in this space that's dominated by like two retailers. But yeah,
on one hand, it's like, you know, I guess like it's great for people to have accessible fashion so that they can, you know, get started, have like options, but also, you know, at what cost kind of like, you know, want to be able to also have things that are supporting designers and kind of thing.
Yeah, because like I totally see where like J fashion becomes like scary in terms of just cost, but like it's just it's just really sad because you don't see trends stick around for 6-7 years anymore. They're gone in a summer. Like the coconut girl thing was just the summer. People have moved on, so I guess
They're no
don't look
longer
up
eating
coconut girl.
coconuts.
I don't know.
Coconuts are out.
Coconut is out. I think Scene is back in. People are
Yeah.
doing the, but Scene is probably going to be out after Halloween. Like
Although
honestly,
I feel like there's some really dedicated scene kids nowadays. They're all like, I don't know, 13 or something. But I've been seeing them for a while, and I'm like, they're just out here doing their thing. So good for you, scene kids.
I love seeing like I'm just like really excited whenever I see younger people like really loving the stuff that I grew up with, because it's like, oh, I wish I was alive then. And I'm like, man, I was alive then. It would have been nice to have known you back then. So I agree. I wish you were alive back then too.
So the interesting thing I think with Gal, in the sense of what it is, it dying or not, I feel like on one hand I kind of like that we're not focusing so much on brands. I feel because at the end of the day, you can be butt naked and be Gary. Most of it is all in your makeup. But there we have a style that is called AV Gyaru. It is porn and Gyaru. We can do it. It's possible. Ideally, I think when people need to be building their wardrobes for Yale, they should be focusing on things that they can wear normally. Like I love me some brand. I love me my Ghost Infinity. I love me my CIA. But at the end of the day, you need a fitted top and some booty shorts. That's what you need for Yeti. So on that end, as far as finding clothes that work for Getu, I feel like we're good there. I think the issue is that part of Getu is understanding that there's a Getu attitude. I see a lot of people on Tumblr and like, not Tumblr. Ooh, Tumblr. Ooh, I wish I saw people on Tumblr. On TikTok saying, yeah, Getu is not, it's not just a fashion style, it's a sub style. And like, there's a culture around it, but they're not doing things with the culture. They're not focusing on learning how to work with the makeup that makes it fit their face and doing things and being respectful to other people. There's a lot of people I've seen who are very anti-sex work with Getty, which is very interesting considering how often if you were Getty past 18, you were pushed into doing sex work to continue being yourself. So I'm just like, ooh, how can you do that? But then also, I think people misunderstand what Gyaru spirit really kind of is. To me, Gyaru spirit is, I'm going to tell a quick story from the North American Gyaru Summit a couple years back where we went clubbing. And I think it was like early 2000s night. So Gasolina by Daddy Yankee comes up. And this one girl, her name is Nemo. She pauses where she is. She screams so loud and runs to the dance floor because it's Gasolina. And that right there to me is Gyaru energy and Gyaru spirit in a nutshell. You are so excited about the things that you like that's what makes it Gyaru. You don't have to be into par. You don't have to be like clubbing all the time, but you are 100% living your life, enjoying what you do, and being unapologetic about it. And I feel like instead people are trying to fit their life into Gyaru instead of fitting Gyaru into their life, when a lot of the sub styles were literally just people saying, okay, I like this and I like Gyaru makeup. This is how we get it. Like literally your Mamba Gyaru, which is Mamba Gyaru with the pink and the frills and the lace parasols, that was started by one person who said, I like this, I like Mamba together. It's not even really a sub style. It's something one person likes really, really lots. So focus less on like sub styles and focus on more what you like to do, but also understand what Gyaru really means in terms of makeup and things.
Okay, we are at we are at 10:44. The next panel is starting in 1 minute. So thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you had a really fun time down memory lane, or you learned some things, or you cried a little bit. But we have to go. The next panel is how to resurrect your wardrobe if you want to figure out how to wear things in different ways, make use of the items that you already have. Oh, Instagrams. Y'all know us. You can look us up later.
Yes.
We'll drop it in Discord, but we gotta peace out. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the my panelists for joining here for this panel.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.